the Oakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, people of Earth and elsewhere. This is a Monday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. A beautiful weekend that we had. Ty, you look like you got a haircut. Did you?
No, actually not. No haircut yet.
Something looks
Actually, I
spiffy.
think
Something looks spiffy.
It's slated for this week. I'm repping the YSN
Me too.
All-Star game. I'm repping the basketball one. You're repping baseball, softball, but we have at least a date announced for the baseball one too. So that was exciting.
25th is going to be the baseball all-star game we're working on right now. Actually, before the game, we're working on getting together the invitations and making sure that and then once we get those confirmed, you've already seen a couple of graphics pop up as Joe Roth has stamped his approval, and he will be there at the all-star game. I think we also announced a couple others. You can head over to our social media page. And,
Poland dropped too as well. Yeah, Poland baseball I think dropped one of their first ones.
I saw DJ making the graphic. I didn't know if it went live yet, so I didn't want to say it.
I saw it on Facebook just before the show, so it's definitely live.
So we can say Rocky Natoli, Natoli from Poland. Rocky's his dad. They'll be represented well at the YSN All-Star game. So it'll be fun. We had it seemed like forever ago because it was a long weekend, but we did have a baseball game on Friday between Louisville and Chardon in that regional final that you got to call at Thurman Munson Stadium, Ty. And like we do with every show, we'll start with recaps. And it was the only game left, the only team left, Ty. And it was one of those games that started really well for Louisville. And then Chardon, like really good programs do, they kept kind of chipping away, and they had a really big inning late.
One bad inning for Louisville. Really kind of set it apart because it was a 5 spot put up for Chardon that just separated themselves from the game. And it really came, I think, again, it was from 9-hole hitter getting on, and it was a play that was this close that just extended the inning, and they batted around. Chardon did and scored 5 in that inning. And it's just been eerie how that theme of this 9-hole hitter has been just haunting some of these big schools having hot runs.
Always been out of our favor too. Like, we have lineups that we've talked about in the YSN family that go 1 through 9, no problem. But it's always like these other teams pulling out 9-hole hitters that are hurting us.
Yeah, and it's beware of the 9-hole hitter this year. It's haunting us too. And yeah, I mean, credit to Louisville. This was, I think, the first time I've seen Leopards play baseball this season, and JT Popek is the real deal defensively at shortstop. I mean, just some highlight reel plays that he made in that game too. That was so fun to watch. The outfield really covers a lot of ground. They do a great job with having Adelman, Roberts, and then right fielder. I slipping my name right now. I know center's Roberts, over and left is Adelman, and then the right fielder. I want to slip in my mind. I'll probably remember it, but their outfield covered a lot of ground in that. But yeah, Chardon just took advantage. 1 inning, they were lining up Morley's pitches, and they were just finding gaps. And credit Chardon, because all year they've proven this with the offensive capabilities of being able to explode in any given inning, and they did so once again as the Hilltoppers are moving on to the state Final Four.
And I think Chardon was one of the teams in the state that was expected to be contending for that regional final. Louisville, we talked at length last week about no one outside of that program really expected much of them in the district and the regionals, and they kind of surprised the world by getting there. But Chardon was a team that it was kind of expected they were going to be competing for that spot in the state semis.
Yeah, I mean, and they got a good program out there too. And I feel like, if I'm not wrong, I feel like Chardon just kind of sits in like the middle of nowhere, and they keep producing good baseball teams. It seems like year after year, and they go to the state Final Four. So I guess if anything, let's root for our region in all 4 divisions, right? Let's go for our region, right? Let's bring it to Northeast.
If you can't beat them, root for them, I guess, right?
I mean, we're not going to root for the Southwest region, right? We're going to root for the Northeast. So,
and then, while we're at it, I mean, all the state semifinals are set in baseball as well, as all the regions have concluded. Softball high school season is done. The state champions were crowned. Lakota West from Division I, Triway from Division II, Wheelersburg, I think, won it in Division III, and I did not catch the Division IV game. I was out coaching on Saturday, so apologies. I did not catch you on the Division IV state championship. I know Worcester Triway kind of ran away with their state championship. So did Lakota West. Close game between Massillon, Tuslaw, and Wheelersburg in D3. I think Wheelersburg won that one 5-2. We kind of knew Triway was a machine this year, and they let nothing get in their way.
Yeah, and I mean, we officially closed the book on high school baseball and softball for us now here at YSN. I mean, we have Class B. Well, we have the All-Star game too. I feel like All-Star game is like perfectly in the middle of like Class B too as well. But it's a continuation of the high school game too. It's one more high school game for select folks. But
it's the greatest show on dirt. That's what we're gonna put on our shirts. So. It's fast approaching. June 25th.
It'll be here before you know it. It's only a few weeks away right now. It's only 19 days away right now. So it's quite literally just under 3 weeks away. And we went big and we went hard for our basketball All-Star game. We expect the same.
Wow. Yeah, and I think the best part of that was the money we raised for Golden String. And we're going to do the same thing for Project MKC. DJ came on the show on Friday to talk with us at length about what makes that program so special and why we've decided to partner with them for this All-Star game.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about like baseball and softball season coming to a close for the YSN network, but one thing's for sure, we had a lot of state champions in track and field though, Anthony. And I mean, our coverage map, we might have been shy a couple of state championships and state champions appearances in baseball, softball, but we're always in it in some way. YSN's always there in some sport or another, and track and field, they were bringing home some state championships all over the place too. I mean, you got several names. If you have the list of them too, I have a list that I have in my head too, but I know if you have the official list, you could start rattling them off.
Well, before we get there, I did want to get back to this Louisville Chardon game. 7-3 was the final, but I wanted to go through kind of that beginning and what happened for reference. Really good opening, right? A ground out, a quick ground out for Louisville. And then like most beginnings, it starts with an error. An error opened the floodgates. Error, single, intentional walk, single, and then it just, once that stone starts rolling for a team like Chardon, it kind of got away.
And they can hit. They 1 through 9, that Hilltopper team can hit. And Morley did a really good job that first time through the order. And honestly, that's what we were seeing is Chardon was making contact, but it was weak contact. And I was seeing like some really nice efficiency from Morley getting like 2 pitches, 3 pitch outs. At a lot of times too, he was going 1 pitch, 1 out. And just at one point too, I don't know if it was Morley was losing a little bit of control or Chardon just started timing him up a little bit more, but they started finding holes and they weren't hitting it to the infield as much anymore, and they weren't hitting liners to the outfield. So credit Chardon, and I've seen them a couple of times this season too, and every time I've seen them, their offense has always been impressive. But the one thing you don't talk about, I mean, their offense can put up runs, but their pitching never that bad. Their pitching never really lets up more than like 4 or 5 runs a game, and when you have an offense that's there to support you, usually with seven runs plus, it makes life a little bit easier on these arms.
That big inning was after Louisville took the 3-2 lead in the top of the 5th. which kind of like the other regional games. It's funny how all the teams that were in regional games for us kind of mirror each other. They took a lead late, and we thought that's enough. That's good. Like our pitching is good. 3-2 lead late. We got this under wraps, and it didn't work out that way. But it's funny how like all of our games kind of went that way, where a team took a lead late, and we thought, okay, this is golden, and then all of a sudden, it just didn't work out that way. The other thing I want to bring up for this game is Louisville continued to put runners on base after they fell behind 7-3, and continued to have chances to score. They couldn't get that big timely hit, but they didn't go away and die after they fell down by 4 after a big 500.
They're a good lineup. They're a really good lineup. It was just the thing was Kirsch did enough through those innings, and I think he threw like 124 pitches through like 5. So like Louisville was making him working to full counts. And I mean, credit them and credit Fetter that came out of the bullpen for Chardon too. They battled. They just battled, and they were able to get the key outs when they needed to.
2 pitches he threw 126. So
I was so close. I was so close. 126. But yeah, he was working, and Louisville was definitely forcing full counts, fouling a lot of pitches off, forcing a lot of pitches from Kirsch, but they did enough. Chardon got the key outs when they needed to, and that was the difference in the ball game.
And bottom of the order. I mean, there's been a theme for this tournament. You know, look at Louisville's bottom of the order, and Kirsch and their pitching staff held them, 0 for 4, 0 for 2, and then 3 walks for
Candle. Walker Candle, yeah, drew 3 walks. With a name like Walker, I mean, you have to get that many walks, right?
But everyone in the bottom of the order for Chardon reached base at least once, and their 8-hole hitter and their 9-hole hitter both scored runs. So that's the difference, getting on base from the bottom of the order and setting up the table for the top. Both top of the orders did pretty well. You look at Chardon's top of the order, 2 for 2, 1 for 1, 1 for 2, 1 for 3, and a combined 4 runs scored from the top 3 hitters. And then you look at Louisville, 2 for 4, 1 for 3, 2 runs scored there, and then a RBI for Adelman in the 3 spot. So the top 3 of the order for both teams did pretty well. I think the difference was you'll look at the box score and you see Chardon's bottom of the lineup getting, RBI opportunities for that top of the order, and Louisville couldn't scratch together enough base runners from the bottom.
Yeah, and I mean that's the offense was potent for Chardon once again, and it seems like that's been the theme for them. And we'll see if they can continue that role too. They got 2 more games left, and we'll see what they can do offensively. Because I mean, it doesn't seem like there's been many pitchers that have been able to shut down that lineup this season too. So
I like that the further we get in this tournament, the more important the bottom of the orders are becoming, because that tells me that all these teams, pitching staffs that are holding down the bottom of the order, understand what it takes at the next level, which is what you want to see when you get into regional finals, state semifinals, state finals. You want to see pitchers that are ready for the next level of baseball. And the fact that they took care of the bottom of the order shows you that they're not taking a break when the lineup hits 7, right? They're not taking a mental breath, which is what you need when you get into college. You're never going to be able to go and take a break in a college's 7-hitter and say, it's just a 7-hitter. I can just throw fastballs down the middle and I'll be fine. And the fact that all these pitchers, unfortunately the ones that YSN went up against, but still, pitchers as a whole in the state of Ohio, they're really taking care of the bottom of the order and attacking them. Shows you that we have a lot of talent in this state that is not just talent at the high school level, but talent that is ready for the next level of baseball.
Absolutely. A lot of pitching talent that's in this area too, and it has been that way for a very long time. And you're going to see a lot of those guys too that have already committed. We've had a various number of names on this show that are committed to this next level, but you're going to see these freshmen and sophomores start committing left and right as they start getting up into their upperclassmen seasons, junior, senior year. So
as we transition out of high school into Class B, that's what I love about this, because now we get exposed to a few more names and a few more regional names that play in Class B that aren't YSN schools that they represent. But because we cover Class B exclusively, all of a sudden we get to see some of these pitchers coming from Sharon, PA, and Beaver, and some other schools around the area. It's good pitching.
There's also good bats too. I mean,
Oh.
just some names I remember. I mean, Tim Quinn with the Astros too. That came, I think, out of somewhere in PA. That was a great bat that I saw last year. What was it? JJ Weatherholt too was like one of the best hitters I've ever seen as far as just putting the ball in play and finding holes everywhere on the field. Like you see some talent that you get exposed to from other schools that we really haven't seen, and a lot of like Western PA schools too that you see come down to players or talent wise come down to scene too, and that's always fun to see.
Yeah, and now we get to kind of dive really deep into Class B baseball now that we have officially had the ball on our high school teams as far as their seasons go. Once again, not done with the players yet because we got the All-Star game coming up. Let's go, June 25th. But our coverage of the teams and the team seasons, unfortunately, means to end. And unfortunately, for team sports, it's the first time in, 6 seasons that we don't have a representative in the state semis? I think it dates all the way back to 2 football seasons ago that we had at least someone in every season get to.
I'll say this because, and all right, we could put this on a quote. We could quote me on this, but I'll say by next year, I think you're going to see that change back into our favor. I think a lot of the teams that came up just short, there's a lot of young talent we've seen in these teams. I think you're going to see a lot. At least some of them are going to take that step.
It's either football, volleyball, and soccer to start the streak again.
They have to, right? I mean, they did it. I mean, I know DJ doesn't want to even talk about football right now, but
it's up for them. They're going to start the streak again in the fall. Someone's going to get there, whether it be volleyball, football, soccer. Someone's going to get there.
That's the beautiful thing, though, is just getting excited for this next wave of sports. That's the thing. Never a dull moment when you cover high school sports because it's like, all right, it's like right towards the tail end of baseball, softball. It's like it just gets you something completely new. It's like, oh, here's soccer, here's volleyball, here's football. And it's just like beautiful doing all kinds of different sports.
That's why it's so fun to see other people think that, high school sports coverage in the summer, you can take a break, kick back on the lawn chair, take a vacation. Us at YSN, we're like, summer's when we like put the foot on the gas pedal even harder because this is when we make our money. So let's go summer.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a fun one here on the network.
So I want to go into Class B action, and I want to talk about some of the teams that have really been impressing me. And I want to start with the 16U division. And you look at the Whiting roll-offs and the offense they've been able to put together. Yesterday was a microcosm, but they've been putting together runs at a premium all season long in 16U. Their offense is on some level, but on Sunday, they scored a combined 29 runs in 2 games against the Astro Falcons and Eagleware. So they scored 17 against Eagleware. They scored 12 against the Astro Falcons. That's 29 runs in 2 games on one day for this offense that has just been putting the world on storm for the Whiting roll-offs.
Yeah, and I mean that's huge because Whiting is in the Livy division and they're leading right now, 8-1 record on the season too. So I mean they're number 1 and they beat Astro, who's 5-4 in the Hernandez division. So
Astro had a tough day yesterday. They lost 2.
Yeah, they did too. I believe what was the other one? 14U, right? 14U and 16U.
They lost 2 16U games yesterday.
2 16Us. That's right.
They lost to the Avalanche 6-5, and then they went and they lost to Whiting 12-2.
That Livy division, man, with Whiting, Avalanche, and Creekside right now. I mean, 8-1 Whiting, you got 8-2 Avalanche and 7-2 Creekside. That's a battle right now for that division.
But I don't think Whiting was a team that was last year. You can't tell they were scrappy. They were kind of being competitive with teams, and they were kind of, they get a big win every now and then. But this year they're like, screw being competitive. Like, we're taking this, right? We're just taking it.
They're coming out just like we're done. We're done. 1 loss on the season so far. They're off to some kind of start too, and 3-1 in that division. And what was it? Avalanche that beat them on the season? I think they're 1 loss, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong though. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'll double check their schedule.
Let me pull up their schedule.
Because I believe that's their 1. Let me double check though. Their 1 loss, Creekside, excuse me. First game of the season. First game they lost to Creekside 3-1. And then they've won They've won 8 straight. 18 runs, 11 runs, 10 runs, 13, 10, 11, 12, 17. These scores 18-1, 11-4, 10-5, 13 zip, 10-3, 11-2, 12-2, 17-1. Like
That's 8 straight games with double-digit runs.
they're on fire. That's over 100 runs, I believe, in 8 games. That's ridiculous numbers of offense. And I mean, as far as like holding teams, they held them. That's 18 runs. So they're over 100 runs and they've allowed 18 in this. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable looking at the season Whiting's having in that 16U. I mean, a lot of bright up and coming talent too that you're going to be seeing for the next couple years in the area.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you look at their roster, you look at their offense, and it's just a who's who of who's been putting together, great offenses. Aiden Leindecker, I think, has been leading them off. And every time I write a story about Whiting 16U, it's like, oh, he's had a good day 3 for 4 at the plate. He's had a good day 2 for 3 at the plate. Couple RBIs. So he's putting together a great season. But their lineup, multiple guys with multiple hits.
How about this one for you, Anthony? 371 team batting average right now. 371 team batting average. They're batting just under 400 as a team right now.
And look at their pitching. It's not a slouch. They gave up 2 to the Astro Falcons. They gave up 1 to Eagle Ware. You saw in those other scores. These aren't 17 to 15 games.
Their ERA is 2.38 as a team, and their ERA as a pitching staff as a whole, their batting average against is 185. So they're holding teams to a 185 batting average, and they're batting 371. So, that's just a recipe for disaster if you're going up against Whiting right now.
Something tells me that we're going to have a lot of Whiting guys on the show very, very soon.
I mean, you're going to have to, right? I mean, they're lighting it up right now. 19 earned runs, 21 runs scored on Whiting this season, and they've scored 103. 103 scored runs to 21 given up. Unbelievable numbers.
Tell me that's not ridiculous, right? I mean,
that's incredible numbers from Whiting. I mean, for 16U2, and you look at what they've been able to do, it's unbelievable. I mean, walks to strikeouts too. What are they at? 48 walks to 30 strikeouts. They have 30 strikeouts as a team. They've walked 48 times. They struck out 30. They're on some kind of other level right now. And I mean, you mentioned the roster on that, and I mean, you got all kinds of guys. I mean, you got Joey Pugh, you got Sean Miller, Nick Thomas. I mean, it's a who's who of names, like you said too. And I mean, looking at these numbers that they've been able to put up, it's really impressive. We're gonna have to see how the rest of the season plays out, but Whiting off to a hot start, no doubt, in 16U.
And we'll just look at their schedule ahead, as they have a lot of baseball left to play. Of course,
they got to play the team that beat them.
They're not even halfway through. They still got Creekside. That'll be actually Tuesday.
That'll be Tuesday, and that's the only team that beat them back on May 28th.
And it's on Scene 1 at 6.
Same field. It was Scene 1 that Creekside beat them back on May 28th, and you know that Whiting wants to avenge that loss going into this one, because that's the only team that they haven't beat this season, and that's the team that they have to play 2 more times. But they are the away team. It's at Creekside technically, so Creekside bats in the bottom of the inning.
And then they're off for a week after Tuesday. They go from Tuesday the 7th. They don't play again until Tuesday the 14th. But then after that, 14th, 16th, 21st, it's a summer full of games. And like you said, still have to play Creekside twice. They still have to play the Astro Falcons another time. They have the Avalanche 2 more times. And Avalanche has been putting together a pretty good season as well. And they have Dura Edge again too. So some tough games to watch in the rest of their schedule, but you look at it and they've just been, I mean, they beat the Avalanche 11-4. I guess that would be not their closest game. The Athletics kept them to 5.
Just
maybe the Athletics would be one you watch out for. They play them after Creekside on the 14th. So
Aiden Leindecker too, 3 for 3, 5 RBIs last night. Unbelievable. That's some fantastic numbers from your leadoff hitter too. And I mean, you go to their 7-hole hitter, I believe, or 6-hole hitter. They 3 for 3 for Nathan Craig too. 3 for 3 game for him. 2 for 4 for their 7-hole hitter. 9-hole hitter was 1 for 3 with an RBI and a walk, so he got on base twice. That's what you ask for from a lineup 1 through 9. That's unbelievable.
And you look at Lane Decker and like the games he's had. I think there's only 2 games this year where he hasn't had multiple hits. 2 for 4, 3 for 3, 3 for 4, 2 for 3, 2 for 5, 3 for 3.
He's batting .548 on the season right now. Like, he's batting .548 on the season. Let me double check some of these numbers real quick for you. And I mean, he's got a good mix of hits too, as far as like he's got 3 doubles, 4 triples, 10 singles. Like he's batting. And then Cason Holland too is another guy batting .529, .455 for Ben Miller. Like a lot of talent here. And then I mean the pitchers that they have too. They have guys that have just tossed shutouts this season too. You have guys like Nick Parada that has a 5-inning shutout on the season. You have guys like Isaac Berry that has 7 innings pitched, hasn't allowed a run in those. I mean, there's a lot of good pitching depth on this team. It's going to be tough.
Nick Parada is the only no-hitter so far of the 16U division.
I believe so. I think you're correct. Yeah. And I mean, they've both been doing really well too, both Berry and Parado. And honestly, looking at this, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but we still got more too. I mean, that's just 16U too. Then 16U is going to be crazy in that one division. That Livy division is going to be a competitive because there's only 2 losses in the next 2 teams that follow Whiting, who's 8-1 on the season.
I had to mute myself. I had a tickle for a minute.
But
and then you look at 18U, and that's interesting at the top too. Astros are 6-0, Creekside's 4-1, and Avalanche is 4-2.
Yeah, and I mean they're really going to start getting into it, and you're going to start seeing these teams really start to fill out now, and that's what's really I feel like is going to be interesting. But Astro's been on some kind of level, and you love to see the Astro Falcons keeping up that tradition of success. But I mean they're doing it with really just some incredible performances on the mound too. Already have 2 shutouts in 6 games. Like that just showcases the pitching that they have. And looking at this, how about this batting average against 134 against the Astro Falcons in 6 games? Opponents are batting 134. Like that is pitching on a different level. Batting average as a team 437 for Astro. So they're doing big things too. As another guy too that's been seeing his players do big things on the track though is head coach Nick Wagner over at Canfield.
Before we get Nick on, we're going to take one quick break, and then we'll be back with Nick Wagner from Canfield Track on ysnlive.com.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens. On air, online, Wednesday afternoon weather update,
very dangerous,
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
As fine as the eye can see, the finest hardwoods from the finest trees. Made for your home and within your means, Baird Brothers will help fulfill your dreams. Let life and light come shining through in quiet morns. And heavy traffic, too. Find your easy-to-afford fine hardwood floors and doors and more at BairdBrothers.com.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
For a great vehicle and a great experience, come to Boardman Mitsubishi today. As always, our full lineup of Mitsubishi models comes with a standard 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Boardman Mitsubishi, your hometown Mitsubishi dealer since 1999.
But now you can see every school, to the smallest school, to the intermediate schools, to the schools in the outlying areas. It gives you coverage that you could just never get to before. It's something that's great to experience, and it's opened up a whole new wave of sports viewership. The possibilities are endless here at YSN. Push the envelope every day. Try something new. If it works, great. If it doesn't, well, let's try another angle, and we just keep moving forward. My name is Mike Ackelson, and my sports network is your sports network.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty Bartell, and we are joined now by Nick Wagner, the head coach of the Canfield track team. They had a very successful trip down to Columbus over the weekend for the state finals. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me on.
I mean, Coach, you had some success all around the team, some state champions too. Why don't you just take a moment to highlight some of the players you're really proud of and the success they were able to have this season?
Absolutely. I mean, on our guys' side, we had an absolutely unbelievable year this year. I've been fortunate to be around the program for 17 years now. And I don't know if we've had a more successful year in terms of overall as a team. We had 10 school records this year, which is unbelievable to think of, 10 individuals or relays, actually more than 10 individuals because a couple of relays there were the best to ever come through Canfield High School. And that's just unbelievable to think about considering the success that we've had as a track program. This was the 19th year that we've consecutively gone to the state track and field meet. I mean, at 19 years that we've had Canfield's been represented by somebody there. But the weekend was unbelievable. We left with 3 All-Ohioans. Cody Piver in the seated shot put and the seated 100 was an All-Ohioan in those 2 events. We had 5 academic All-Ohioans in Jason Hammer, Ryan Bennett, Ronnie Sinkovich, Blake Baker, Nick Plant. And then Nick Plant just, unbelievable with his state championship, back-to-back state championships in the 800 meter run. And to add to that, now a state record, breaking a 21-year-old record in the 800 meter run in the state of Ohio in Division I.
Obviously, Nick Plant's one of those runners on your teams that gets so much attention for what he does. He does stuff outside of Canfield that just lights the world on fire. What makes him such a special athlete and makes him such a blessing to get to coach?
He's an unbelievable kid. And it's not just in his, his determination, his work ethic, all the stuff that, makes those elite athletes, what they are. But, just his personality, you would never know that he is just, such an unbelievable athlete on the track. He carries himself so well, inside the school. You never know, oh, that's Nick Plant in terms of, oh, he acts like he is the best. He's very humble, in how he handles himself. Always helping everybody. It doesn't matter if it's, freshmen on the team, sophomores, juniors, seniors, whatever it is, he's always helping, coaching in a way, and modeling the positive and good behavior that we expect at Canfield and that our kids, from by and large, our team is, 114 kids, unbelievable kids, at Canfield, that's for sure. But, for him to be able to mentor those kids and to really, he ran the 4x8 at regionals. He got that team down there and then went down there. He did not run the 4x8 at state, to go after that state record, but was there still at the meet, rooting on his teammates, rooting on the kids as they ran Friday, rooting on, Cody, whoever it may be, whatever kid it may be that was at state, he was there with them, rooting them on, so it's not just, all about him. He cares about the team as a whole.
A follow-up to that, and then I'll let Ty get to his next one. But to have a kid like that is as good as he is, but also takes as much time to pour into the program, what kind of legacy is that going to leave with Canfield Track in the years to come where the kids that were able to grow up with him as a leader?
That's going to be a name, that is going to, resonate around the school and around this program for a very long time. Nick Plant will be, he's one of the best track athletes we've had. He set that state record. We had another state record. We actually have now 2 athletes in the state record book. 2010, Dustin Brode set the state record in the shot put, which still stands at 71 feet, 7.5 inches. So, Canfield now has 2 athletes in the state record books. But, it doesn't matter whether they're junior high kids, whether the 7th graders now currently know Nick Plant, because he was either helping them at practice because we practiced at the same time, or whether it was through cross country and team camps or whatnot, so from 7th grade now on, these kids all know who he is, and they're going to continue to talk positively about him, for years to come. And for maybe generations to come, kids are going to know who Nick Plant was and is.
You mentioned 19 consecutive years of being represented in state Canfield as a team, as you've been there for 17. What can you say about the culture that you've created with Canfield that's been able to sustain the amount of success that they have over the years?
I've been there 17, so 2 years before me, actually probably 4 years because I did 2 years of junior high, but Coach Mary Dimitrovich, who's the name's well known in McDonald, was head coach when I was at Canfield, and she kind of set that foundation of what the expectation is, and that we're going to keep getting down there, we're going to keep doing well with it, and then Coach Mark Carden took over after that, and, Mike Yankee was in there, Pat Pavlansky, we've had unbelievable coaches throughout this time that have just continued that tradition and carried that tradition on to where these kids know, hey, our goal every year is to get down there in some way. Our team, yes, we're a big team, 70 some boys. We're still not as big, as a Fitch or a Boardman. But, we can say that we've been there more than they have been consecutively. And you look at, we finished top 25 in the state as a team the last couple years at the state meet. So it's just the kids knowing that, hey, that's our goal. Our goal is to get down there every year. It may not be that same group. It may be a different group. We've had girls that mixed in there with that, 4x8 team a couple years ago. Anita Mancini, great athlete for us, made it down there. Now Cody, Nick, it doesn't matter what events, because we're going to sprinkle in a little bit of every event to try and get down there. Our kids are just such great kids and want to keep working towards that to keep that tradition going.
When you look at this program and the success they had over the weekend, I guess the question is, how long are you going to celebrate it? And then how long does it take for your coaching mind to start looking at the next steps for this program and what you're going to do next?
I think we're kind of already there. We definitely had a lot of fun, and we're going to continue to, have some fun with this. Coach O'Brien, our distance coach, is just a really cool moment down there where, he was able to, when Nick set the state record, I went out and filled out the form for the state record. It's always great to do paperwork at a meet, that's for sure, after a kid runs, because that usually means he set a state record. But really cool moment was that Coach O'Brien, our distance coach, was able to actually present and give Nick the medal on the podium, which is really cool because those two are so close. And Coach O'Brien does such an amazing job with Nick, of getting to where he needs to be. So it was really cool he was able to do that. But we'll have some fun with it. We'll do the media and the I probably have a curbstone, do a lot of breakfast and do the board meetings and all that stuff. But it's kind of on to that next year here in a couple of weeks, and look for that next athlete to get there. Two of our 4x8 members were underclassmen. We had a couple kids, Brinkley Bear in the high jump, and Blake Baker made it in the, some underclassmen that made it to regionals. So those are some names hey, Blake got the opportunity to run in the 4x8. So he's experienced what it's like, and now he knows going into next year what it takes to get there and what it's like to actually run there.
We know in sports like basketball, they have summer camps, and we know what summer looks like for most of our sports. What does summer look like for track and field, and what they're going to do in the Julys and the Augusts?
Honestly, for us in track, we really don't hit it that hard until indoor. A lot of our kids are multi-sport athletes, especially our distance kids. We try and promote all of our distance kids to run cross country, and then they go straight from cross country into track. We have a lot of kids that are football athletes. Whatever sport it may be, football, soccer, so they kind of go and do their own thing. And then we'll kind of hit it back up in January with the indoor track at YSU. So we kind of give them time to go to their other sports, focus on that, volleyball, whatever it may be, and then come back to us. Cause I've always said for track, we look for those dual athletes, the ones that kind of really focus on that and keep going on that, at times burn out a little quicker, so to focus on those other sports, we work hand in hand with each other to help each other out, and the sports really help them to then succeed in track.
We talked about the culture, but that's only one half of the equation of what makes and maintains the success over the years. Talking about the kids and just the level of talent that we've seen from these Canfield athletes, what can you speak on as far as the key to success is for these Canfield athletes, different names every single year, being able to have that kind of talent to make it back to that level?
You have great kids, and that's the bottom line that you have is just unbelievable kids, and that stems from having great parents, great community members, and great coaches. You look at any program that we have, whether it's Coach Pavlansky with football or any coach that you have in the community or in Canfield, we all want and we all do this for what's best for these kids. And, we all coach because we love to coach the kids, and we do what we do because we want these kids to have success and put them in good positions to do that. It's not about us. It's about these kids. And I think that's the mentality that a lot of these coaches have. I know with Coach O'Brien, our distance coach, he also coaches cross country, and that's what it's about. It's about setting these kids up for success. To do well in their not only sport, but then to do well, outside of sports. It's bigger than just athletics. And I think that's kind of the mentality that, that the coaches have at Canfield, and that, the administration's been able to bring these coaches in that, all kind of have that same mentality and be able to, get these kids successful in every sport, not just one or two.
With that mindset as a coach, can you take us into how proud you are when you see kids succeed like they did this weekend, and even succeed outside of track and go on to have great college careers and go on to have great careers outside of the sport after they graduate college? And I'm sure you keep in touch with a lot of your former runners. I mean, as a coach in high school, what does it mean to you when you see one of your alumni go out and succeed in whatever they want to do in their future?
It's an amazing feeling to see that, down at the state meet. And that's the other thing, Canfield travels. You look at the state meet, and we were seeing alumni coming in to watch Nick, to watch Cody, to watch the 4x8. They travel. Once you're part of it, you're always going to keep tabs on it, whether it's Jason Frazier or, whoever it may be from Canfield who had records or state champs or whatnot. They follow, whether it's through Twitter. We have athletes that are in Seattle that'll go watch Nick when he runs nationals out there in a couple of weeks or about a week and a half. So Canfield sticks together. Even when you've graduated, you come back, you cheer on for the team. So it's great to see that aspect of the kids coming back to be around the program, back to see the success with it. From a coaching standpoint, it's awesome. It's amazing to be able to see what the kids can do outside of high school, because we see them for 4 years. We see them, between 14 and 18 years old, and you say, okay, this kid, is going to be successful. They're all going to be successful, but in what? Is it going to be athletics? Is it going to be academics? Is it going to be, who knows what it's going to be? So to be able to see them be successful, is really rewarding for us as coaches. To be able to say that we had some hand in it, whether as big or small as it may have been, with them in their high school career.
With being around the sport as long as you have and having the experience that you have with it too, what are some big misconceptions about track and field that you think maybe keep some kids away from it, or if they have some interest in it, what do you think are some big misconceptions about the sport that might keep them away from it that aren't really true, if you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, track is a very unique sport. Baseball is so team oriented. You got to have 9 kids, 11 kids, 11 with other sports, but 9 with baseball, and whatnot, working together. Track, we have 4 in a relay that need to work on their handoffs. So sometimes it's that personal aspect of the sport that, it's all about me. It's not about the team or whatnot. But that's a misconception, because it's got to be about the team. We tell the kids, hey, we're going to put you in the best spot to not only succeed for yourself, but for the team. Because yes, it is individual in that, Nick Plant went out and won a state title in the 800 by himself, but, it was the other events that led him up to that, whether it was running the 1600, he ran a 200 throughout the year, or whatnot, to help the team score points in different events or different meets to succeed with that. Another misconception is, it's all running. You got to run. I hate running. I don't want to run. There's a spot everywhere for a kid at track, whether it's throwing, jumping, if you're fast, you're going to sprint. If you like to run, but you don't like to run or can't run real fast, but run far, that's distance. If you're a strong kind of lineman type group, you can throw. So there's always a spot for somebody. There's no cuts. There's a spot for everybody, and just the team atmosphere. I know that the distance program, what Coach O'Brien's done with that, is unbelievable, and how close they are. So you still have that team atmosphere to where the kids will hang out in the parking lot for 45 minutes after a meet or a practice, just hanging out, talking, having fun, so it's that, team aspect that people really don't see that is still there.
Coach, we want to thank you so much for the time that you've given us to come talk about the success your program has had this weekend. We love having you on. We've had you on a couple of times now. We appreciate your time as always. Good luck in this summer, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Nick Wagner, the head coach of the Canfield Cardinals track team, that had a very successful trip to Columbus over the weekend, in a program that consistently, like he said, puts runners in Columbus. 19 consecutive years, I think he said, there's been at least someone there from Canfield in Columbus for a track meet.
Yeah, and I mean that's huge too. And I mean, you just look at it, and like I said, it's two sides of an equation. It's great coaching, it's great culture, but you also have to have great kids and just great athletes. And you got to figure it starts too with like the youth programs in Canfield that all have great programs for a variety of sports too. And I mean, it's getting those kids involved early and getting them to buy in early, I feel like, and it keeps that longevity. And that's why you see as great of athletes as you do out of Canfield too. And I mean, to sustain that kind of success, 19 years of being of appearing in state, it's not something that's an easy feat too. And like I said, there's two sides of the equation. There's coaching and culture, and then there's also the kids. And whatever they've been doing, they've been mixing the right ingredients for this cake for the last 20 years, just about.
I want to give some shout outs to some other athletes that we were made aware of success that they had over the weekend in the state track meet. Gerard's Don Melito was on the podium for the high jump. He finished 8th in the high jump in the state to get on the podium there. And Don Melito, that's a name that everyone knows for the football season. So I don't think there's any surprise that he's a good high jumper with all the catches he can make up in the vertical.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
You look at Columbiana girls, their 4x100 team finished 4th place at state. So they are on the podium there. We talked to Julia Rapp as part of our show last week, and she's a member of that relay team. McDonald has a state champion in the 3,200 meter dash. I shouldn't say dash. It's a run. When you run 3,200 meters, that's not a dash anymore. That's a straight run. But it was Megan Hipple that got the win and got first place on the podium. It is the 71st McDonald athlete to become an Ohio State champion in track and field. Talk about a program in McDonald running, whether it be cross country or track and field. McDonald, I don't know what they're putting in the water down there for their runners, but they're always there, and it's their 71st state champion in track and field. That's a ridiculous number.
It is a ridiculous number. And I mean, like we said, this area has been really good for track and field, and we always seem to have representatives in the state too. So, I mean, outside of Canfield does a fantastic job, but there's other teams around this area too and other divisions that have maintained some success over the years too.
The 4x200 relay team from Beaver Local earned a spot on the podium in the state meet in Columbus. It was James Monty, Tyler Purdue, Ethan Agnew, and Caleb White. They finished with a time of 1:28.66 to get on the podium in the 4x200. We saw Crestview Relays compete very well in their Columbus run. Bo Brungard completed his high school career with a very good showing down in high school career. I don't know why I said Columbus career. High school career with a very good showing down in Columbus for Springfield. We also saw John F. Kidney have the 4x100 relay team. They had their place on the podium, and that was Thomas Easton, Antonio Smith, Donovan Solero McCoy, and Antoine Brown. They placed 3rd in Ohio with a time of 43:54, and JFK in the state, that's come main state team no matter what sport you're talking about. JFK somewhere in the state.
Seems like it, right? Seems like it. Another representative for the Eagles.
State champion for another Eagle, this time coming from United in the 800 meter. It was Caleb Nastari who got the 800 meter championship, and he is the state champion from United. He broke a state record earlier this season as well.
Flexing on him too. I mean, Eagles flying high.
Valley Christian 4x100 team won the state championship with a time of 10:20, and that was the team of Raquan Bell, Kwani Austin, Marquez Gibbs, and Philip Spradley. They were state champions in the, once again, 4x100, a time of 10:20. That's insane. I mean, like Usain Bolt, the world class, he runs a 9.6, 9.5, 100. So when you have a relay going 10.2 in a 4x100, that means that's something else. That's something special.
Yeah, doing some big things. Certainly.
So congratulations to Valley Christian for getting that done. Cheney Senior Cheney Senior, Ray Ann Gordon, she got to the state finals in the 100 meters, and she finished first in the podium for the regionals, and she was competing yesterday and did well in state too. So those were the ones that we were made aware of, and great showing from YSN teams down there at the state meet in Columbus.
Really great showing too. I love to see that Cheney getting back on that board too, especially since, a program that's all sports programs that are just getting back on their feet too. And just to see that the level of athletes too, how about them cowgirls, right?
How about them cowgirls? So we are proud of all of our YSN athletes that went and represented themselves down in state. And baseball is the only sport, I believe, that has to wrap up their state tournament.
Yeah, I believe so too. So I mean, we're waiting for the wrap up of that, and then it's officially the end of high school season. We'll have our all-star game that'll represent, but it's the end of the high school season until football, volleyball, soccer starts up in August.
We don't want to skip over something.
No,
this weather is way too beautiful to just skip over. I'll tell you that.
But we will probably be getting a head start a couple weeks on trying to get you guys some previews on that. But that's all plans for a later day.
Maybe.
We have a lot of Class B baseball to cover too over the summer. And
we already told you that Joe Roth and Mike Natoli have punched their spot into the All-Star game and have been not just nominated, but also have been confirmed. They have confirmed their entrance into the All-Star game for baseball. We also have Jake Gerdick from Canfield. He has confirmed that he will be at the All-Star game for YSN on June 25th. So Canfield getting representative from Mr. Jake Gerdick, who is the son of the WFMJ general manager. And they gave a really nice shout out to that family on Twitter already when we put that on our social.
Yeah, we love it. We love it too. And I believe Gerdick now is being represented in back-to-back All-Star games because I think
he was in the basketball one.
So I mean, he's on all fronts too. So we'll be able to see Jake Gerdick in back-to-back All-Star games.
And if we had one in the fall, I think he'd be there too.
Yeah, probably. We would. I don't know if we'll ever be able to, just because of how football is. I don't think we could ever do an all-star football game like that.
Obviously, we'd love to have a volleyball one. Football it's a different.
You would have to do like 7-on-7, like 2-hand touch or flag. Like you couldn't do. There's no way you could do tackle football.
Logistically, it would probably have to be something that's done in the summer.
Yeah, it starts so tough to
kind of like the Penn Ohio game.
Well, it's like basketball starts in the middle, so like those athletes have no time to go from like football to basketball. There's no time off. Like those athletes are going right to basketball almost directly after. So tough. The Jack Arbin Classic game.
What is? I'm confused.
He said, "What is?" Oh man, but no, I mean, there's a lot of talents you're going to see drop on these socials too. So make sure you get out there too, and you get out there to. Or what am I saying? I said you should get out there and support. Follow us on socials is what I meant to say. Follow us on social media too, so you can get all those updates on the rosters as they drop for our All-Star games too, as it's going to be a daily thing that you should expect.
Speaking about All-Star games, tomorrow we will be broadcasting the Valley All-Star Classic at Eastwood Field. DJ Oakley will be down there, pretty much a Mahoning County versus Trumbull County All-Star game at Eastwood Field that they're going to host at the home of the Mahoning Valley Scrappers. So make sure to head down there and support that game. And if you can, it'll be part of a big night of baseball tomorrow night, as it will be a part of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I think we might have a certain plug with the play-by-play guy for the Mahoning Valley Scrappers. Maybe we can get some Scrappers baseball players on the show.
They got a sweep over the weekend.
Yeah. I think it's a good time. Maybe we can. I know we have a certain plug, some guy that does like the play-by-play for Scrappers on YS.
We got him off the streets,
Yeah, I think we might be able to have him put in a good word for us too, and we can maybe get some Scrappers. Guys.
Ricky had been putting in really good work all weekend.
Not only great post games too.
Not only has he been doing the games, but he also does the post game interviews and he does the write ups that you see on ysnlive.com. So Richie's been like full front, all in on Scrappers baseball. And why wouldn't you be? They're 4-0 on the season now with a 4-game sweep of West Virginia, including a dramatic comeback on Saturday.
I mean, you got to check out those interviews too. I mean, Richie always does a great job too. And I mean, great post games too. So make sure you check them out, ysnlive.com, or follow our socials too. They've been on some sort of roll, the Scrappers.
Yeah, a really positive, note for the Scrappers. It's been a different guy every day. Like, it's not like, hey, if we have to interview this guy because he's player of the game. Like, it's a different guy stepping up every single day for the Scrappers as well.
And that's kind of what we saw last year. I'm just curious on seeing how much of this team is taken with the draft again too, because that's kind of what we saw last year. If you
but remember, they fixed that problem.
That is right. They did fix that too. What was the rule change on that?
Well, now when it's going to be like two halves of a season. So now after the draft,
that's right.
It's going to turn into like kind of a minor league team where these players can go get paid to be playing in Mahoning for the Scrappers. So it's not going to be like last year after the draft. It was like kind of the Wild Wild West, and whoever didn't get drafted just kept playing, and it was trying to fill the holes with some people that just wanted to come play baseball. But this year it's going to be kind of transitioning after the draft into, all right, almost a professional minor league team. So we shouldn't have as much drop off after the draft in the whole league, not just in the Scrappers.
I do remember them saying
the quality of baseball go really down after the draft last year, and I think that was one of the big things they addressed.
I'm glad you explained that too, because I remember them saying after last year that they were going to address it. I didn't know if they actually put it into place this season. I knew there were talks about it.
Richie explained it much better than I did when he was on the show last week. Like, he knows exactly what's going on. I'm sure if we ever had him on the show again, which we will eventually, because
once comes up, right before the draft comes up, I think it might be good to bring Richie back on the show to kind of re-explain and set in stone everything for the viewers and for everyone at home.
By the way, the Scrappers are off today. They're on the road Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday they're back home for a weekend series. Oh, that's tiny print against West Virginia again.
Get out there and support. It's another weekend series too. What else are you gonna do too in the weekend? Get out and support some Scrappers baseball.
But they have the 4-game sweep to open the season, as they won all 4 against West Virginia from Thursday to Sunday, and they are 4-0 in the season.
I believe too, if you make sure you tune into YSN Live's Running Point on Friday, you will be able to get a chance to go to the Scrappers for free this upcoming weekend series too. Because we're going to get you 4 tickets.
We've already proven you have to be fast, because when we gave away 4 on Wednesday, our winner was on there like 5 before we can even
in like a minute.
Whoa, got the answer. So you better be quick on those fingers when we put out a trivia question on Friday.
We'll definitely be promoting it, but get out there too. Get on this show Friday, and you could get 4 free tickets to the Scrappers too. They'll be home the whole weekend, and you can redeem them for, I believe, any of those games or any regular season game. At Mahoning Valley Scrappers.
Buck Anderson is one of the players that is coming back this year to the Scrappers. He was a very good player last year for them, won multiple players of the games on YSN, got interviewed a lot. But this first game of the year, he was the player of the game, and he was our first post-game interview. And he is just continuing to shine bright on this roster.
It's going to be exciting to see how far his career can go too. And it's going to be interesting to see once that draft rolls around again too, if anybody gives a look that way too, because I mean that could very well be a case. And I mean that's the exciting part, is like you see these guys playing too. You're gonna see some dreams come true too, and some guys get to that next level by the time draft rolls around this year.
Did you watch any of the interviews with Homer Bush? Man, I already like him. I already like this guy.
I think I don't feel like I've watched the whole one. I think I was watching a little bit of it too, and I got cut off with it. But I definitely saw a little bit of that one. But yeah, I've been trying to keep up with what Richie's been doing with the Scrappers, and he's done a fantastic job too.
I haven't met the guy yet, but I already like him. Like, he's so smiley, and he's like so happy to be there, and it's like, that's awesome, man. I love it, and he's pouring energy into this team, and it's one of the reasons why they're 4-0 on the season with a comeback victory. By the way, on Saturday they were down by quite a bit in that game, and they were able to come back and win with an offensive explosion. I think they ended up with 12 runs in that game, but at one point they were down 5-1.
Yeah, and I mean that's the key too, is I mean being able to put up runs and be able to post a comeback like that. It shows a lot too. It separates the good teams from the great too, and when you're able to do something like that, it definitely gives you some sort of momentum rolling into, especially at the beginning of a season like this.
We talked about this draft league and how it was going to be really hard to balance, wanting to win and that competitive juices that everyone has in them, and also being almost like a travel team where your main goal is to shine a light on these kids and raise their draft stock. Obviously, winning is a good way to do that. Hey, we're on a winning team, and I'm a big reason why. That's a really good way to raise your draft stock as well. But the competitive fire to say, okay, we're down, and to not just say, all right, we'll just pack it in, we'll pad our stats, and we'll try again tomorrow. I mean, that just shows you what this league's going to be like, because when you're down by, I think they were down by 4 at one point, it's really easy in a travel situation or kind of a only there to promote yourself situation. Just be like, all right, I'll just pack my stats and we'll pack it in and we'll do it again tomorrow. This team was like, no, we're gonna win this game, and then they came back on Sunday and they got the sweep. So that's kind of the fire that you want to see out of this league and the competitiveness that you want to see out of this league.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's a thing too, I love the idea of having this draft league too, as far as just giving those players that opportunity to have that shot at getting drafted too. And it really, I mean, we saw a lot of names from this area, and it's not just from Mahoning Valley, it's all the draft teams too that are seeing guys get to the next level or getting at least drafted into the minor leagues too, and having a shot to get to that next level. And I think it's really cool to kind of have this league be something that where baseball scouts are looking at, that there's easily accessible ways to be drafted out of this league. I think it's awesome for Mahoning Valley to have this kind of league stick around, and I'm glad that we kept this ballpark and we put to use Mahoning Valley Scrappers baseball field, and we kept the team for this league, because I think it's actually a really cool idea too, and I really like the idea for it for allowing these younger athletes an opportunity into that next level.
Yeah, and when you look at it, we also got great weather over the weekend, and that's something that we've been begging for all spring. Like, hey, give us some good weather, and Mother Nature has finally smiled on us.
And you know what? Despite all that weather, let's shout it out, because I know DJ just shared it too, and I mean YSM posted it. We covered 426 baseball and softball games this season, which is 204 more than we covered last season, despite all the rain, despite all the weather too. I mean, it was.
Can you imagine if we had a cooperative weather?
Yeah, imagine if we did. But you know what? DJ shouted him out too, but we got to credit Quinn for everything that he's been doing. I mean, Quinn's been doing a phenomenal job too.
Can Quinn come on?
Quinn's been doing a phenomenal job too, and I mean, that just the numbers speak for itself right there. That's bang 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 at 426 games. Raise the bar.
Not only Quinn's doing a great job, but I also want to give it, and I'm sure DJ would echo it, our announcers that have just gone places. They've traveled with some teams. We have announcers that stepped up kind of in the middle of the season and said, we want to cover this team. Parents, helped us out a ton. And we got a lot of games because guys just wanted to go do baseball and softball. And they went out, they did double headers on Saturday. There were guys that are doing 3 or 4 games in one day on scene. Now with Class B, there are guys that are doing 3 or 4 games on one day at scene. These announcers that we have, they're really putting their time into making YSN special. And I know we don't give shout outs to them nearly enough. I'd love to do it more. But they're all just fantastic people, and fantastic announcers that love what we do. They buy into what we're doing at YSN, and obviously we couldn't cover those games without the announcers that do it. Like, without announcers, we're dead in the water, right? So
I'll echo that too, and just credit the announcers that have stayed on for all sports seasons too, and weren't just the football only crowd too, and the ones that have stayed on through the basketball, through the baseball, softball. I mean, credit these ones, because these are announcers too that are giving it up for these schools too. And I mean, we have a great cast and crew of guys too that continued to step it up even through spring too, and continue that coverage in baseball, softball season. And now it's a good feeling to look at those numbers and see that we're starting to get that same number of coverage like we see in football and basketball season too, and volleyball season,
especially in spring, because spring can be kind of crazy because all of a sudden you have a game on Tuesday. Hey, it rains. We need it tomorrow. Like, we need you Wednesday instead. You've gone through it. I've gone through it. Oh man, like, I had plans for Wednesday, man. And then all of a sudden, nope, you got to drop them. You're doing game on a Wednesday because your Tuesday game got rained out. And a lot of announcers have rolled with that and been like, okay, we'll move to it. We'll go to Wednesday. Move with location changes. There have been a lot of, we can't play here anymore. We're going to go play here instead.
It's
and roll with that.
By far, I think the toughest season as far as scheduling. That's why you got to shout out Quinn. As far as just getting guys to be able to stay on games, like you said, and that's where I echo that. Credit goes to Quinn. Credit goes to the announcers because they've stayed diligent towards it.
Football is kind of like, I know it's more time consuming because you're there for longer. It's like a 3-hour, 4-hour commitment.
But most of the time the game's happening unless it's a thunderstorm. It's happening.
Like Friday. It's Friday from like 5 to 10. I have to be there, and every Friday it's that, right? There's no change. Friday, maybe Saturdays if you're like a Mooney guy or one of those teams that plays Saturday, but mostly it's Friday nights. That's my night. And then you get into basketball. It's more nights, but it's still pretty. Unless we get a snowstorm, like it's pretty much Monday, Wednesday, Thursday for girls, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday for boys. Every now and then you'll get like a Saturday doubleheader or
you're going to get like, I think I had like 2 or 3 basketball games get canceled this season because there was like 2 feet of snow on the ground. Like
you get into softball, baseball, and it's wild, wild west. It's like whenever we can get games in, let's go.
It's like we might be playing at Louisville. Nope, we're going to be playing at Salem now. Or no.
Yeah, we might be playing at 5 o'clock. We might push it up to 2. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. And to say that, we got announcers this year, especially last year, ones were great too, because we definitely got games in last year. We have some veterans that have come back for their second season. But this year, we've got some announcers that have really bought into whatever it takes, going to get these games in. And that's why we got that number that we did. What, 420?
Shout out some names specifically: Noah Doty, Noah Ricks, some of these names that have stayed on and have just.
Matt Mayer stepped up big for spring sports. Joe CBO was the voice of Columbiana. If you didn't get a chance to listen to him,
he was there. I mean, this dude was at every single game.
Derek Rhodes for Salem, I call him the MacGyver of our broadcasters, because if there's no way to set up a camera, he'll find a way. I saw him have one set up to a trash can with a tripod and then strapped to the fence. Whatever it takes, like he'll MacGyver it. He'll get the game on. Noah Ricks, you said Alec Vernon did a lot of games on scene. I think he was the guy that would be like, I'll do 3 games at scene 1. I don't care, and he does a show too for us. So he's putting in a lot of work. Matt Morrison's right there with him. Eric Hughes does a lot under the like a lot of teams. He started with Lowville, but now he's doing a lot of teams in that MVAC Scarlet tier.
I've gotten the pleasure to meet a lot of these guys over the last year too, and namely too the 2 guys you mentioned, Eric Hughes, but yeah, Noah Ricks. And I mean, guys that just know how to conduct really good broadcasts, and guys that just put in the work too. And I mean, I'm so glad. I mean, we mentioned Noah Doty, we mentioned Alec, we mentioned Matt Mayer, Matt Morrison. I mean, just great names all around too. And like you said, guys that bought in and guys that have been there football season, volleyball season, boys and girls basketball, like through the years too. I mean, obviously, your veterans too, your Anthony Romos that have gone out too, and lacrosse too, like brought in another sport to the network too, which we love seeing.
Yeah, they latched on to Canfield lacrosse and said, like, we're gonna follow. They followed them all the way to the regional final,
and that's what you love. Raise that bar, raise it.
And but I don't think we ever said it, but congratulations to Canfield girls lacrosse on a great season. They fell in that regional final to Chagrin Falls last week, but congratulations on a wonderful season. They had the top ranked goalie in the state. Period. They had one of the top ranked offensive statistically in the period in lacrosse, and it was their first program regional final. So I know we kind of got caught up in the baseball regional finals and everything last week, but we do want to make sure we send a congratulations to Canfield girls lacrosse, and thank you for taking us on the ride and letting YSN be a part of it and doing all the post-game interviews. We had several of their players on the show as well, so congratulations on a great season to them. Don't want to pass them up.
Louisville just posted to him. We shared it that JT Popick and Anthony Warner got all Ohio second team too for the Leopards. So congrats to those guys too on their awards and accomplishments. Well deserved for both of them.
Highlight reel, man. The human highlight reel. JT Popick.
And you got him, and then you just got Anthony Warner, who just literally did not allow another run in his high school baseball after that last one.
He was done. He was fed up with runs.
He said, "You know what? I'm done allowing these." And we're
something if he's starting his college career with like another month of no hits.
Just shut out. Like, I mean, He
No.
might.
I told you I'm done with runs. I don't care if it's high school or college. I'm done.
He's on he was on a different level the end of the season. I mean, those two will be missed, but definitely well-deserved honors for both of those guys.
Yeah, and JT, man, swaggy JT, man, shortstop swag. I mean, that guy, I said it, he has that kind of cool where you're so jealous of it, you just want to smack it off of him. Because
it's like those Louisville guys all were great interviews. The only one, like, I loved a lot of the interviews we've done with teams, don't get me wrong, but as far as boys baseball, the only one I would contend Louisville with is Warren JFK's interviews, as far as just being like
good.
Like, they're just like so like they were
done that
when they got on. I love that.
I think this day is going to morph into kind of a reflective day on the season and the people we've been able to meet and talk to. How about the Wyndham baseball interviews that we were able to have? Those guys were
great too.
Fantastic. Like, if I could have them on every show, it would be a party.
Wyatt Handshots was something else too. Like, and then on both the eyes, both Jack.
We hit tanks.
Like Wyatt Handshots, just like we hit tanks, and I love that. That will forever be my favorite line, I think, for a home run now in baseball. He hit a tank. That's awesome. But no, I mean, you get to keep diving into those kind of those schools, and you get to meet these kids too. And I mean, some great interviews that we were lucky to have with some great guys too. We still need to go into 18U. I feel like we just brushed over it too with Bob.
We did. We talked about the Astro Falcons, and then we had the interview with Nick Wagner. So let's kind of morph this back into 18U, and then if we still have time, we'll go back in reflection of the seasons and kind of wrap up. This is the wrap up of our high school teams coverage for the first the new era of Running Point.
Yeah, this is our the All-Star game.
Really reflective this week, guys.
The All-Star game is going to be the cherry on top of the whole Sunday, right? But this is or cherry on the pie, as you might say. Yes, but no, this is a full year for the new era of Running Point that's covered.
You couldn't let it go, could you?
And from volleyball to football, boys and girls basketball, soccer. I mean, we've had a multitude of sports, multitude of athletes covered it. We just want to continue raising that bar too. And I mean, I love the number of sports and number of athletes and coaches that we've been able to have on, and multitude of different sports that I'm continuing to learn on the fly too with these coaches. So it's been a great year too. And we continue to look to cover more and more too. Just keep raising that bar, right?
All right, back to 18U. We talked about the Astro Falcons. Obviously, they're still undefeated at the top. Creekside, like everyone kind of expects, it's become a rivalry in 18U Class B between Astro Falcons and Creekside. They're right behind them, one loss in the season, and they're a really good team too.
I mean, Creekside, absolutely too. And I mean, looking at Creekside's numbers and their team stats specifically, I think really what makes Creekside really good is just that batting average against is the pitching again. They hold teams to a 181 batting average against them. And I mean, when you're holding teams to a sub 200 batting average against, you're doing something right. And that's exactly what we're seeing from Creekside so far too. So doing a good job of holding runners too, but they're also just doing enough, getting timely hits at the right times that are getting them enough runs to get key wins throughout the season too. And I mean, you look at some namely guys on this team too, some big hitters rather, if you will, too. Guys like Aiden Rossi too, batting 400 on the season. Tyler Kammerer batting 571. So I mean, there's some big bats in this lineup too, that can give Astro a run for their money for sure.
We didn't get a score into them for their Sunday game. They were supposed to play Whiting on Sunday, but we have no final score on the website for that. So I don't know what they did with that game, but they do play tonight against Eagleware on scene 3 at 5:30. That'll be their next game. They have a lot of baseball left to play. They've only played 5. Of course, 18U gets started a little bit later because they're waiting for high schools to get done. And so 18U and 16U get a little bit of a later jump than the 14Us who have been playing for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that's what we say too. These 18U rosters will start filling out as you see the season start to get on too, and we're going to start getting more games from 18U under their belt too. But yeah, they have a few games. They're just a few games behind schedule of what 16 and 14U are doing.
But Avalanche 18U has been really good this year too. I don't want to leave them out. They're 4-2 right now, and they have a chance. They're only 2 games back, and you look at their schedule. and they have a lot right in front of them too. Their 2 losses are to Nightline and Astros to open the season. That Nightline loss hurts, but they still have a game tonight, 2 games on Wednesday, and a game on Friday. So a big week ahead of them against the Prospects, Dura Edge, Creekside, and Astros. So it's a big week for that third place team that's sitting right there 2 games back. They play Creekside and Astros this week right in front of them. So they can make some waves this week if they're able to get those wins.
Young man by the name of Reese Anderson batting .571 in 3 games for him, and I believe he's one of the ones that just started coming to the games a little bit later. I think his season just started ending with the high school, so he's getting involved now. But yeah, he's putting up some big numbers for Avalanche right now.
You think he's putting up some? Is he getting some pieces of the ball with Reese's pieces?
Yeah, you wish, right? Too. I mean, he's got 2 singles, a double, a triple too. So I mean, he's spraying it all over. 4 hits and 7 at bats for him.
We got to get him on the show because that headline writes itself.
Yeah, right.
I mean, the ones that write themselves are going to be at the top of the priority list.
Absolutely, a lot of great talent too in this 18U over at Bob Scene.
I mean, yeah, you look at the standings overall. I mean, we've talked about Astros, we've talked about Avalanche, but then Dura Edge is right there at 4-3. Ballistic is 3-4. They got a couple of 3-3. Excuse me. They got a couple of wins over the weekend. No one in this these standings are like playing bad baseball. It's all competitive. You have 5 teams at 500, and then 2 that are just 1 game back of 500. So early in this season, we have teams that are really all playing pretty good baseball. None one's kind of coming in and playing bad baseball, which is what you expect from 18U Class B.
Shout out the 14U as well. Whiting is leading that 12-1 record, and Astros right behind him at 12-3, and not far off is Ballistic at 9-3. So 14U is
they've gotten some more games in because they were able to start a little bit earlier. But how about Whiting? They're taking the world by storm. 14U check, 16U check.
Might want to start watching out for Whiting going forward too. They're hosting a lot of talent.
Their 18U is 2-4, but that 18U in the future, those 16Us turn to 18Us. You better watch out for Whiting in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be exciting to see. As I mean, a lot of young talent on these teams too. But I mean, them and Whiting and Astro both with 12 wins on the season. 12-3 for Astro, 12-1 for Whiting.
You'll look at 14U. Like I said, they've gotten started a little bit earlier because they didn't have to wait for the high school season to get done. And you look at the standings there, like you just brought them up. Good baseball on 14U. There's 4 teams above 500 and then 1 team that's just a couple of games below it. And everyone, not everyone, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams have at least 7 wins. So competitive through and through. There's a little bit of parity. Teams are beating up on each other. And no one's undefeated. So there's not a lot of bad baseball in 14U.
4 teams too scoring over 100 runs already in the season too, as Athletics, Avalanche, Astro, and Whiting have all scored over 100 runs. But how about this? You want to talk about the discrepancy between runs and pitching with Whiting? How about this for their 14U? 108 runs scored to 22 runs allowed.
Yeah, at that point, I was about to say before you brought up that number, like, don't think that's because, it's 14U, the pitching isn't good in 14U. Like, no. Whiting's like, hey, my pitching's really good too. Like, we're just scoring runs at a high clip. So pitching at 14U isn't like, we're just throwing like meatballs down the middle and any offense can hit it. Like, these are good offenses that are hitting against, pretty good 14U pitchers.
Decent amount of the guys you're going to see in this upcoming YSM Baseball All-Star Game were relationships that were made 3-4 years ago when these guys were 14U or younger. Like, I mean, like DJ has great stories with like Joe Roth when he first met him too. And that was like one of the first guys that committed. Like, that was met in those kind of era, those ages too, the 13, 14 year old brackets too, 14U. So no doubt too, the talent that we're seeing here, you're going to be seeing it for years to come too. And I think it's important to pay attention to the talent that we're seeing at 14U.
Yeah, keep these names in the back of your mind for sure. And there might be some names that we don't even know yet, right? There might be some names that pop off in the middle of the summer, like, oh, okay, here we go. And especially in 18U, when these players are starting to get into these rosters, starting to get more and more at bats, like you're going to see some names really pop up in 18U.
And you might have seen a freshman, sophomore, what have you, in your high school season might not have the greatest season, but just getting those more at bats in the summer, sometimes something just clicks and they find something within their swing, or they find something within the release point on the mound, and they're just able to start tearing it up too. Experience is experience too, and the more games you play, it's going to help you.
I consider experience. When you look at it too, for some reason, and this is true in travel baseball, whether it be Class B or the Bulls organization or what is it?
PBR?
Yeah, the other travel organizations out there for baseball and softball too, and travel. Sometimes when you get on a travel team and like you're just around different girls or you're around different boys, you're around different coaching staffs, it just feeds into a little bit more success, or other way around. And you see either kids that have really strong high school careers struggle a little bit in travel, and you see kids that struggle a little bit during high school season find a heck of a groove in the summer with travel. And sometimes that change in the scenery is all it takes too.
You need to have that change in the scenery so you don't get stagnant with it too, I feel like. Because if you just keep playing the same opponents, same batters, or same whatever in whatever sport, you're going to get used to it too. And I feel like you're going to fall into a comfort level of just doing the same things all too much. I feel like you need to have different experiences against different looks so you don't fall stagnant with the way you play.
I like that point about comfort zone, because I think the conversation that also has to be had is these players are getting exposed to different coaches and different coaching styles. And that cannot be stressed how important it is to not have one coach that coaches you throughout your whole career. Like, you got to be exposed to different coaching styles, different coaching personalities, and people that can teach you different things, because everyone knows something a little bit in a different way, right? Every coach you come across is going to be really good at teaching something. So you might have one coach that's really good at, fixing your swing mechanics, and another coach that can fix your defense, and another coach that can see things in your pitching that, maybe you need to fix mechanically.
But
you don't see that all in one coach.
I'll do you one better real quick. Out of all the college level athletes that we've had on, college or professional athletes, I guarantee you, out of all of them that we've talked to, we always ask role models, coaching influences. None of them said just one coach. Not a single one of them said one coach. It's a multitude of coaches that they thank along their way too. So getting that exposure definitely is a huge benefit to them.
Most recently was Naj Bohannon, who kind of was like, man, if I went into the list, I'd be here all day.
Exactly. I mean, there's so many names too. And I mean, it might not always be a good experience too, right? Like, sometimes bad experiences with coaching can be beneficial to players too. They really can be. So I feel like you need to get experience against all, just so you know the type of player that you can be for a type of coach. And I think it really reflects on you.
Eric Collins chiming in that his son plays for Prospect 16U. He plays for the Mahoning Valley AA 19U and also plays travel ball.
That's what you love to see, right?
I mean, that's Lookout. So that's being exposed to different coaches, right? That's intense.
That's what you need to, I mean, and if credit him too, because that is just putting an Iron Man schedule together.
I know,
but I mean,
baseball.
You will see so many different looks. Like, we talk about teams that schedule up, right? And the teams that schedule up during seasons as far as like just tougher competition before a tournament, because you want to get those looks. There's nothing that you don't want to be prepared for going into a tournament. And by getting exposure to that kind of level of talent from multitudes of different teams and getting exposure to that much different coaching too, there's nothing that I feel like that you're not going to be prepared for going into the season. And I think that's huge for athletes too, to get out there and just get exposure to different teams.
Yeah, and he does it as a catcher too. So how about that? He's a catcher and he's doing all this baseball. You're gonna need knee replacement by the time you're 30.
Yeah, shout out Brogan Collins, excuse me, Brogan Collins, I believe. Yeah. I mean, you talk about putting together a heck of a schedule too. I mean, that's exactly what we're seeing too. And I mean, he's batting 300, 423 on base percentage too. I mean, some great numbers you're seeing from him out of there too. 5 walks on the season. So I mean, you're doing this playing baseball everywhere too, and I mean that's Class B.
while we're talking about catchers, like not only is it important that he experiences different coaches, but also he gets to manage a lot of different pitchers. And when you're a catcher, you have to be able to manage a pitching staff. And that experience has to help you too, because you don't know what kind of personality type you're going to run into in your bullpen. But you got to be able to navigate it and be able to manage each pitcher according to what their preferences are and how they like to, how they like to throw and what they like. And even something that I got exposed to this weekend, where they like the glove to be set. Like some pitchers like the glove down until they pitch and then the target. Some pitchers like the target up the whole time. Little things like that you're only going to get experience with by exposing yourself to more catchers.
Calls all of his games too. And how about that?
Ooh.
And how about, that just speaks, I think that speaks levels to the kind of trust that he must have with his pitchers too, for his pitchers to be that confident.
Like how many coaches like to hold on to those reins and say, I'm calling these I'm calling these pitches, right?
Yeah.
No, you go do it. You go do your thing, bro.
But I mean, I feel like it's beneficial because the coach isn't going to be calling every pitch going forward too. The higher you make it, you're going to have to learn to do it eventually, right? And I think it's only to his benefit too, to be able to call these games with different pitchers too, and to kind of just get a feel of what each pitcher is good at and what each pitcher does well.
At the end of the day, the catcher has the best angle to know how the pitch is moving and what the batter is doing with his swing to game plan against it. So the coach has a pretty good angle, but the catcher knows exactly how that pitch is moving, and he's got a front row view on exactly what that hitter is doing with their swing that they can attack.
And I won't say all coaches, right? But I would say a majority of coaches will say too, if you give me a good defensive catcher that has a high IQ, what he does on offense for me is secondary. I don't care what he does on offense. As long as he could call a good game, play a good defensive catcher role, and be that field general, I'm okay with it. So when you're batting over 300 too, as a catcher, that offense is, again, cherry on top of the sundae. That's extra.
And obviously he does it for LeBray as well.
So, I mean, and we already know the kind of program LeBray always puts together year after year. So, I mean, LeBray baseball, no doubt, is always competitive.
Yes, we should take this time to tell Eric and Brogan an open door policy. You ever want to come on Running Point?
Absolutely.
Let's talk about this with the catcher's perspective and get his eyes from it. Because the other thing we talk about, catchers are kind of like the offensive linemen in football, where you don't notice them unless they're doing a bad job. Catchers go really under the radar. You don't notice a catcher unless the catcher is making a mistake. And obviously, not a lot of mistakes made by Collins.
Yeah, and I mean he's a football athlete too, so he's Mr. Do-All. He's Mr. Do-All. And look at that, Ant. Open door policy.
Open door.
We're gonna get the baseball Iron Man himself then, Brogan Collins.
Let us know. We love to have him on anytime. And he's doing football, so
that's huge. So you get a little bit of both, right? You get a little bit of both.
That means your body's taking a heck of a beating because you're getting hit by other men.
It's gonna be like RoboCop from like the waist down by the time his knees are gonna need to just be steel. I mean, what kind of workouts his knees have to be getting? I'm sure he incorporates rest too and icing them as well. I mean, you would have to. The only thing I just worry about, what is he doing with his knees too? I'm sure he's got to be taking days off of catching. We'll have to see that.
Bionic man. Yeah.
Or did you are you made of steel? Do you have adamantium in you? Are you made of Wolverine? Are you? He's just.
Do you have the claws?
Do you have the claws too? But no, that's the number of talent too. The talent that we're going to see, especially in 14U, 16U. Pay attention, folks. These are names too. We're going to be talking.
This is the future of baseball in our area.
Exactly. And the names you hear now are names you're going to be hearing in a year or two for respective high schools that are going to be doing big things too, that we're going to be talking a whole heck of a lot more about too, just because they're going to make us talk about them with the performances they're going to have. I mean, this is where you kind of separate yourself from competition, and a lot of teams really can start finding themselves, and a lot of players really start finding themselves baseball, softball wise in the summer.
Yeah. And it's,
it's a great freshman too. I want to say freshmen, I feel like have going to summer too after having your first high school season is so beneficial for those freshmen.
You know why? Especially if you're an elite freshman, like, throwing out names City Watts. that get to go play on a national team and gets to coach by national elite coaches like Megan Betza. You get her to teach you how to throw a changeup, and she comes back with that off-speed pitch that is nasty. Then if Cindy Watts is throwing 68 and she has a changeup next year, good luck. Good luck. All I have to say.
Just needs the contact for it too. I'm sure Anthony or I will be reaching out to you here real soon, Eric. Too. We'll get a contact.
Message us on Facebook, man.
Yeah. We'll get you all squared away too. We'd love to bring them on too, and that's what we really want to start getting into. Like we said, no breaks going on in the summer. We need to get into some of these Class B baseball rosters. We need to get into some of these Class B baseball coaches too, just to get kind of their perspective on the talent that they're seeing too. And what we can expect from some of these younger guys as they come up through the ranks, and as far as the older guys, what kind of experiences are we looking for from these 18U guys in their last really hoorah with baseball in the area?
We need to try to get Steve Leslie back on too.
Absolutely. I mean, just with his work that he does over there too. I mean, I think it's a perfect time to bring him back on. I think we had Steve on beginning of baseball season.
Yeah, to talk about the he knows a lot of baseball coaches, so we wanted to get his scoop on the broad picture of the high school baseball season. But now, obviously, his knowledge is even more of a fountain in Class B with Scene Park. So, get him on. He knows all these coaches pretty well, and he can tell us a bunch of stories and what he expects from the Class B season. So, sometime soon, we'll get our YSN GM back on Running Point.
And I'm sure with a certain someone being an assistant coach for a certain Steel Valley Storm, we're going to be getting some softball players on as well.
We'll get him. We'll get him. We'll get him on. We'll get Coach Rivera on too.
It'll be fun too, because I love continuing this coverage too of baseball, softball athletes going into the summer.
Long day yesterday, Ty. We were in Streetsboro, and we had games started at 10, and we weren't out of there until our championship game was at 5:30.
Those tournaments.
If you don't know the strain of travel softball, you're playing 7 games in 2 days, and it's a good thing that pitchers don't have a pitch count, because we'd have to have 13 pitchers on our team to get through that.
What's the experience been like for you from a coaching perspective?
Can't shine enough. I mean, it's awesome. You start in the winter with practices, and you try to fix little things, and then this is the first full weekend that I've been able to get to the tournament with them, and just to see kind of the camaraderie that comes with travel softball and kind of the family atmosphere that comes with travel softball. Maybe you don't expect it, because you think with travel baseball and travel softball, these kids are only interested in kind of exposing themselves and raising their stock to colleges and trying to get recruited. But man, I got to tell you, these kids that we played against, these kids that we saw at the park and in our team too, it's almost like a family. Like, you travel with them, you're there with them all day. Moms bring the snacks, the coolers. You got to watch out for the moms with the wagons, because they will truck you over. They got to get to field 3. They're on field 4. They gotta get the cooler behind them. They got the wagon. It's like a minivan. You're barreling through. It's a different atmosphere, and proud of my team, because they didn't have the greatest Saturday, but championships in travel softball are won on Sunday, and they came back and they kind of proved that Saturday wasn't their standard, and they won a silver bracket championship on Sunday. So. You can find all the recaps and 4 of the games on ysnlive.com. So we broadcasted 4 out of the 7, and all the recaps are also on ysnlive.com. That'll continue through the summer with Steel Valley Storm.
We love to see it too. We love to see continued coverage of games too, and it just fills things up on our network too. As we always know, Bob Scene Park, it seems like we've had almost a full schedule at Bob Scene Park almost every single day, it seems like too. So, I mean, stay tuned to ysnlive.com/live to get the full list of games every night.
I must have had like 20 or 30 people ask me what YSN was, because there's travel people from everywhere. I mean, we were in Streetsboro, so there were teams from Chardon, there were teams from the Massillon area, teams that had a lot of Akron, Springfield, who I know you're very well accommodated with. We played a team that had their slapper that's hitting like 500 this season for her high school probably going to be a Division I slapper, the best slapper that I've seen this high school season. So we had a lot of different. The one team we played was pretty much all the Chardon's varsity team. Like they had 6 or 7 players from Chardon's varsity team. So I told our coaches, I was like, you want to scout this team? It's pretty much Chardon's varsity. So it was a fun time. It was a fun time. We get exposed to a lot of talent. We'll be in Willoughby this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So here we go. Willoughby's up in Cleveland. So
back to the travel scene for softball. Back to the travel scene. But hey, don't forget, folks, too, make sure you stay tuned to our socials. I know we promoted it too, but make sure you follow all of our socials so you can get the updates on the baseball and softball all-star rosters as they do drop. And also make sure if you are on YouTube, search up YSN Live and make sure you hit that notification bell and subscribe.
I was about to say, when they go on YouTube, Ty, what do they do?
Get yourself all those video contents too, as we get all kinds of post-game interviews, whether that be from travel softball, travel baseball, all kinds of sports, Mahoning Valley Scrappers with Richie. I mean, all of those go right to YouTube too. So if you want all those videos too, you could find them. We have, I think, I can't even tell you the exact number, but it's over a couple thousand that we have.
Some other announcements as far as players that have confirmed their entrance into the All-Star game. Darius Beck will be St. Louis representative for the YSN Baseball All-Star Game. And then from East Palestine, Kyler Bourne will be their representative for the All-Star Game. So we have 2 more that have dropped on our socials. And like Ty said, they're going to be dropping at a rapid pace in the next couple of days. So make sure
9
to follow us.
From baseball one, folks.
Mm-hmm. that's hard to think.
19 days.
I thought you said 9. I was like, that can't be right.
19 days until the baseball all-star game, folks. So, I mean, we got a lot of rosters to fill out, too. So you better stay tuned to social so you can get the updates as they happen.
And then as soon as those rosters are all filled, we're going to have the draft, much like we did with
that's
the basketball one. A little bit different because we have to make sure each team gets the right number of pitchers and catchers. So it can't be as wild west as it was in basketball, where we had
with the pitchers and catchers, though, are those going to be selected?
Well, we're probably going to be like randomizing the pitch. This is my guess. Randomizing the pitchers and catchers, having draw them, and then go, okay, this is the deck
for positions. Yeah,
this is the deck for positions. Remember basketball when like Coach Scott got like 5 or 6 centers in a row.
It was fun though, man.
It was like, man, here it comes. The big guys against the point guards. That's what this All-Star game is. Obviously,
6'3" first baseman playing shortstop because they just got all big dudes on one team.
Your left fielder has to pitch.
Yeah, that's now I like the idea of making sure you got pitchers and catchers first, and then position players can be wild west. That's all right.
So we can't make it all wild west.
But that's fair too. We want to make sure it's somewhat competitive. We can't have one team have like 18 pitchers and one team have like 2, and then there we go. So I mean,
we'll announce the full rosters and the coaches in the coming days, and that'll be fun. And we'll also be able to announce the softball date pretty soon, as we're trying to solid that up and square it up. So softball date will be soon. And of course, when that is announced, those rosters will be dropping in a rapid state as well.
Yeah, absolutely. As we look forward to, as we're going to have some more summer games too, but I mean, that's going to be the cherry on top of the high school season too. So one more time,
long weekend, guys, like buckle down.
They're going to don all these uniforms one last time too. So it'll be a nice little moment in the ballpark.
Bob Scene Park, June 25th.
I missed last year's too. So
I know you did. You've changed.
I've changed. I was getting married last year. I was kind of tied up with other things. So. But no, yeah, I'm excited to be here too. I got to be a part of the basketball one, and what a great time that was.
That means we're coming up on your 1-year anniversary.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Your wife has put up with YSN for a year.
Yeah. And my 1-year anniversary with Running Point is like a week after my 1-year anniversary with my wife. So I'd say my 1 year with Anthony is a week after my 1 year with you. So just about a week. So we're right there.
Actually, because we started the reason we started a week with me and then you were on your honeymoon or something, right?
Yeah. You did the show for like a week, and then I came back after honeymoon, and then
so.
And here we are, almost a year later.
Can't believe it. You know, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will maybe turn this into the last half an hour, maybe have some reflection on the high school sports season since it is officially wrapped up. We'll be back on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Reliability, innovation, scale. These three values are those we look forward to in our business and in our team. If you're ready for a reliable employer who looks constantly to think outside the box in big ways, we're ready for you. Apply now. Help us push the envelope and deliver success. Envelope 1. Take that one extra step.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University and proud.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Why choose where you live?
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Change. This one word can make you break out in a cold sweat. But with change comes wisdom, experience, and understanding. At Myers Family Insurance, we can help make changes in Medicare, insurance, and retirement a positive experience for you and your family. We've gone through changes, like our new office and new faces to help our family of clients too.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance. Check us out online at myersfamilyins.com or find us on Facebook.
Jimmy Sutman here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and two of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty Bartell as we continue this Monday edition to get ready for the week ahead. Ty, you there? You coming on? You popping in? I gave you the intro. There you are.
No, we're all good. We're all good.
This is once again a Monday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. And Ty, it is officially the end of the high school season in baseball. We'll have our all-star game, of course, where players will be able to represent their high school. But as far as the team seasons go in our YSN family, it's the end of the spring sports, and that means it's kind of a time to say, hey, we got through a complete high school sports season on this new era of Running Point.
Yeah, and it was, like I said, I mean, exciting because we dived into a lot of different sports coaches, players, and we really got to meet and introduce ourselves to a lot of new student athletes in the area, and we just look to continue that coverage going into year 2.
And one of my favorite parts of this Running Point is, like you said, the people that we got to meet from the sports that don't get the coverage that every other sport gets in the media standpoint of local media outside of YSN. Like when we had swimmers on, that was awesome. Like our swimmers that we had on in the winter, the wrestling that we got to do with Gary Altizer was amazing. I love the tennis that we were able to get on this spring, and then the lacrosse players that we were able to get on. Those kind of interviews were my favorite because not only did we get to learn about the personalities, but we also got to learn a little bit about the sport in the area and the growth of the sport in the area.
And that's exactly what we like to do, is just finding those different stories too that are out there too with these student athletes, because there's a lot of talent in this area and a multitude of sports, not just the mainstream ones too. And we took a little bit of a dive into it. We look to dive a little bit deeper as the years go on too, but we definitely started getting our feet a little bit wet, I think, with some of these sports too. I mean, you use swimming too, not trying to be punny, I guess, with it too. But I mean, we also were in lacrosse. We got more into track and field this season with track and field stars and coaches, which I loved. You talked about wrestling too, and of course, we always have our golf guru Brian Tolnar that kind of navigates us through that as well too. So we try to have experts on all fronts too that kind of help us out where we can't be in 4 different sports at once. So we have some help in other places too. And I love the fact that we're still able to get the coverage and get out to these sports as well. Spike ball's next. Here it comes. I want rugby, man. I want rugby. We need to start covering some rugby more. That's what I want to get.
Ty wants rugby. I want shuffleboard. I'm just throwing out random sports at this point. Ping pong.
We just got too. I wanted to promote. We reached out to Mr. Eric Collins too. Brogan Collins will be on tomorrow at 1:15. So we're all squared away on
this one that you saw get scheduled live on Running Point. Literally.
You saw that one happen right here too. So all you folks that are looking to talk to this baseball Iron Man, come prepared with questions too, because remember the comment section is live too. And if you have any questions for our student athletes too, always feel free to pop in a question during our interviews too. That's the whole point of us being live too. We love asking questions ourselves too, but we also love having that the community in the comment section get involved with these interviews too. So come prepared for this the baseball Ironman Brogan Collins tomorrow.
Ooh, I'm excited now. Prospects playing in Class B. He's also once again in multiple travel organizations, and he's a member of the LeBray baseball squad as well.
So Mr. Do-All for LeBray and for himself too, as far as baseball is concerned.
Along with doing all that, he's getting ready for football. So
we're
how he fits in his schedule. That'll be my first question. How big is your schedule, and where did you find the 25th hour in the day? Because I'm looking for it.
The 25th. It feels like he found the 26th and 27th as well too. So he's doing a heck of a job right now too, putting up some nice numbers with the prospects as we were able to see, but also playing baseball in multiple different areas too right now.
You take all that with still, every kid has to have somewhat of a social life and schoolwork during, September to June. Incredible.
Putting in work. So, we'll have Brogan Collins on tomorrow at 1:15 for you, and that'll be fun too. As continue the coverage too, and that'll be our first interview as far as Class B baseball is concerned, I believe. So,
yes, we're going to kick things off with Prospects 16U. We'll look at the schedule for today. We have baseball on the network today on June 6th. We're going to have 5 games from Class B on scenes 1 through 3. We're going to have scene 3 doubleheader covered at 5:30 and 8. Eric Hughes going to be on the call there. Matt Merrick going to be on scene 2 for 1 game at 5:45. And then Anthony Romo pulling double duty on scene 1 at 6 and 8:30. There are also Class B games going on from Springfield. And there is a postponed game that's going to be continued in the bottom of the third on scene 2 at 8:15. We also have games from the Field of the Dreams as part of the BCB. DJ Oakley will be down there at 5:30 and 7:30 for boys varsity on L1. So that'll be fun from Field of the Dreams, as Boardman Community Baseball also getting some coverage from YSN.
yeah, and we look forward to that too, having constant coverage of that too, and we like going into some of these Class B leagues too, and just being able to talk to some of these Class B baseball players.
You mean BCB?
BCB too. I'm sorry. Yeah, Class B is over in Struthers. BCB over in Boardman.
It's a lot of B's.
Yeah. Sorry.
A lot of B's. Boardman Community Baseball. We're going to be covering them all summer, and then when they get in the districts, we're going to do our absolute best to get every district game from Field of the Dreams baseball and softball on YSN Live as well.
Yeah, and we're going to definitely look forward to that too as we continue the coverage of baseball.
Just to look at tomorrow. Tomorrow we're stacked full of baseball. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 games total on the network tomorrow, from Class B to BCB, and then the All-Star game at Eastwood Field.
We're excited for that too. That Eastwood Field All-Star game is going to be so fun too. So, I mean, it's a full slate of games too. We have games tonight and we have games tomorrow too. So be sure to tune into the network to get your baseball fix.
And I can look at the I'll let you try to find the Trumbull County roster while I read off the Mahoning County roster for tomorrow. Brandon Popio will be on the roster from Austintown Fitch, and he'll be joined by Jake Coral and Joe Roth. They'll both be on the roster. 3 Fitch Falcons get on the roster for tomorrow's All-Star game at Eastwood Field. From Boardman, we're going to have Jason Treveri and Anthony Butto. From Cardinal Mooney, you're going to have Zach Herb and Cole Littman. Caden Brown and Jeremy Leeson are going to be representing Cheney. From East, playing second base, Dahman Perry will be on the team. Justin Beeson, outfielder from Louisville, will be representing the Rockets, as well as their third baseman / pitcher, Brandon Simmons. Carter Holendak will be representing Sebring as well. Campbell Memorial getting some representation. Shortstop and pitcher Jack Luciano, who I know you're real familiar with from his time on the basketball court. He'll be on the All-Star game for baseball, as well as Jacob Jackson from center field in Campbell. Poland getting a pitcher on. Mike Natoli will get credit, and so will Cole Corey from Poland, as he will be a catcher on the team. Springfield, the corner infield from Aaron Groner, he'll be on this team, as well as Nick Silk. He'll be on the team for Springfield as well. Struthers infielder Drew Day will be on the roster, as well as Brady Shannon. That's a no-brainer from Ursuline. West Branch getting 2 representatives, shortstop Nick Wilson, and then pitcher Garrison Martin will be on the team from West Branch. Last but not least, from Western Reserve, catcher, third baseman Jacob Bookman, and then Gabe Platt, their pitcher and shortstop, will be on the roster for this All-Star game. That'll be the Mahoning County roster. They're going to be coached by Struthers staff. Tommy Otto will be the head coach, and his assistants are Mike Vitucci, AJ Perfilio, and John Martin will be the coaching staff for the Mahoning County All-Stars tomorrow at Eastwood Field.
hearing me or was lagging a little bit?
All right, we got you now. You were frozen for a second, but the last words came in. Oh, now you're frozen again. We get you back. Ty's having connection issues. See if we can pop him back on if we can take him off.
All right, am I back yet?
Yep, you're good.
All right, I got the Trumbull County roster. Glitch Grim attacked me before. But all right, reading down the list. Nick Church, pitcher, infielder, outfielder from Bristol. Oh man, why did it just hold on? There we go. Garrett Roach, outfielder, first baseman, Bristol. Jordan Keller, pitcher, shortstop, third baseman, left fielder, Chalker. Garrett Anderson, pitcher, center fielder, Chalker. Nate Holt, which we had on the show, pitcher, third baseman, second baseman from Champion. Jack O'Shaughnessy, pitcher, shortstop, second baseman from Champion. Jordan Grant, outfielder, second baseman, shortstop from Girard. Ryan Hooper, second baseman from Howland. Braden Gebhart, first baseman from Howland. Ian Wukelich, the pitching utility man from Hubbard. Gavin Schrum, shortstop from JFK. Lucas Lancaster, second baseman, third baseman, shortstop from LeBray. Jordan McCartney, pitcher, second baseman, third baseman, outfield from LeBray. Cal Rink, first baseman from Lakeview. Jake Wilms, infielder from Lakeview. Jacob Fleming, pitcher, shortstop from Lordstown. Caden Anthony, shortstop, second baseman, Lordstown. Braden Webb, pitcher, outfielder, Maplewood. Peyton Zupko, pitcher, catcher, third, shortstop for Mineral Ridge. Mark Bunch, there's a no-brainer, pitcher, outfielder, first baseman for Mineral Ridge. Jordan Dowling, second baseman from Newton Falls. Nick Rapzak, outfielder from Newton Falls. Colton Christopher, the shortstop pitcher from Niles. Mikey Gennari Jr., the first baseman from Niles. And Carson Peterson, first baseman, pitcher, and from Warren Harding, and then David Devlin, center field, shortstop, pitcher from Warren Harding. Trumbull County coaches are Jared Terlecki from Matthews, and it's all Matthews, Matthews assistants too. So Matthews head coaching for that one.
Matthews versus Struthers in the coaching boxes, and then it's going to be a real fun matchup. A lot of familiar faces on that team. Mark Bunch, the co-pitcher of the year in baseball, going to be on that team as well for the Trumbull County All-Stars as he squares off with Mahoning.
I mean, that's a great pickup too for Trumbull County. That's going to be a fun matchup too, and you see YSN names on both sides of the coin too. So make sure you get out there and watch this one, folks. It's going to be fun.
I liked how, and especially on your list, there were a lot of third baseman, outfield, jack of all trades players that were like,
guys, I could just play anywhere.
How do you list them? Anywhere. It's not a catcher or pitcher. Everything else they can play.
Yeah, just throw me anywhere on infield, outfield. I got it.
You want me to pitch? I'll do it. Let's go. I don't know how many kids like want to pitch. Like, hey, yeah, I'll pitch.
You love it too. It's like what we're seeing from the St. Louis Cardinals too. It seems like they're having all their position players pitch now. It seems like every night.
It's like Oprah. You get a pitch. You get to pitch. You get to pitch.
Everyone will have an inning under their belt by the end of the season. Oh man. But no, that should probably wrap it up too for Monday's edition of Running Point. As Tuesday, we have Brogan Collins confirming for tomorrow.
Tomorrow, Brogan Collins at 1:15, if I remember right what you said.
Yep. We also have messages out to some other players and track stars too that we're waiting to get confirmed for either tomorrow or this week. So we'll be sure to update them to you as we get them confirmed right now. We're just waiting to make sure we get confirmation back on it, but there is mutual interest for some more of these track stars that we see come home with some medals and some state title glory from this past week. 7
baseball games on the network tonight, 5 from Scene Park in Class B baseball, and then 2 from Field of Dreams with the Boardman Community Baseball. Tite Yoakley going to be in Boardman, and then the team of Eric Hughes, Matt Mayer, and Anthony Romo will all be at Scene Park on Scene 1, 2, and 3. For Class B baseball. So 7 games on the network, all of them free. Go to ysnlive.com/live to see what teams are playing where and when, and make sure to tune them in. We're taking a 22-hour break. We'll be back tomorrow from 12 to 2. Casual Sports Podcast coming up next from 2 to 3. Power Hour from 3 to 4. And then we'll be back again tomorrow from 12 to 2 to do it all again on YSN.